For about a month, I went the entire month with only eating an apple a day. Eventually, my whole plan was to eventually stop eating altogether.
There was a really long period of time where it was every time I ate something, I would make myself throw up.
I can't share any of this with anybody. This is my private thing. This is my secret.
Eating disorders don't discriminate. Doesn't matter if you're a girl or boy, young or old, black or white. Instead of hating our bodies, we should learn to celebrate every body. Hi, I'm Kaitlyn Channa, a survivor of 3 different eating disorders. Hopefully by sharing my story, I can help erase the stigma that's attached to this mental illness. In the United States, at least 30 million Americans suffer from a significant eating disorder at some time in their life. I believe everyone in life has a personal story to share. Here's a closer look at mine. I still remember looking in the mirror and touching and not feeling my bones enough that I thought I was huge and morbidly obese, but in reality, I was not. I had 3 different eating disorders. I was suicidal, depressed, and I overdosed on over 100,000 pills. I didn't have a childhood because all I did was think about food and being overweight, and thinness means power and control, and I didn't live a life. My life got sucked out of me and I was depleted. Nowadays, I'm living free of an eating disorder. I'm in complete recovery, and there's such thing as complete recovery. Eating disorders have the highest mortality rate of any mental illness, yet they're treatable. Those suffering from anorexia nervosa have an intense fear of weight gain, have a distorted body image, and are terrified of becoming obese. The body has no fuel, no nutrition. It literally starves itself.
I don't know, it's like my throat is tightening up.
Katie Colby is a single mother with a mental illness called anorexia nervosa. After 18 years, her condition has taken a deadly turn.
Because I'm scared that touching the food is going to make me gain. Sounds crazy, but I feel just touching food with my bare hands, I'm going to gain weight.
So Katie wears latex gloves.
There's a chance that I'm going to have to touch food.
It's a daily struggle to prepare meals for her 2 boys and niece.
It's hard, but I mean, he likes it, and I mean, because something's hard for me, I don't deprive, my kids. I try to sit with the uncomfortable feeling.
She turns her body numb and becomes detached from her feelings when she is in the presence of food. You can see how difficult it is for her to even eat a carrot. Do you even taste it?
I don't want to.
And now Katie's body is having trouble keeping things in. She says she's surviving on 3 Ensure drinks a day and a cup of soup. Doctors believe her eating disorder became a coping mechanism for how she endured the sexual, physical, and verbal abuse starting at the age of 3.
My trauma involved food. It was used basically to keep me quiet. So to me, it's a bad thing. I'm having a tough day, a lot of flashbacks. It's a very tough day with my eating disorder.
When Katie was 20, she was ordered by the court to go to a hospital for inpatient treatment. She was there for 11 months seeking intensive care while being on a feeding tube to help sustain her.
And I kept pulling it out, and they threatened me that they would put it in surgically. And I think it was just, I was so angry, and then having somebody try to take that control. I couldn't control what was going in, they did.
Being in the psychiatric hospital, Katie says she used up her 190 days of Medicare lifetime inpatient treatment. That was 18 years ago, and now she says Medicare has denied any coverage of inpatient treatment because she'll exceed her mental health days. Katie also has Maine care, but it only covers Maine's only treatment facility, Mercy Hospital, where she failed the program twice.
When you say it hurts, does it hurt to to move kind of hurt, or it hurts
Her team of doctors, including Dr. Megan Mamela, has been fighting Katie's insurance to find an inpatient center willing to treat her PTSD and eating disorder.
How much water did you drink?
Recently, they found a bed available for her at Walden Behavioral Center in Massachusetts. But she says Maine Care denied it.
It's absolutely maddening. It's frustrating. It feels hopeless as a provider. I mean, I care a lot about Katie. Any thoughts, concerns, anything you want to know that we've reached the end of what we can do as a treatment team for her and feel like there's no hope beyond that is sad.
But being denied treatment is like, well, is it really that bad? My providers say it's that bad. But yet, I can't get into treatment.
Katie could die of this supposed psychiatric illness. Katie could, her heart could stop working. Katie could, I worry, that's my biggest worry, is that Katie could die.
Dr. Mamela says insurance only looks at eating disorders as a mental illness, even though there is so much physical damage done to her body.
Once it gets to the point where Katie becomes mind, body, spirit, the whole thing is, you cannot ignore the damage that it does physically to their bodies.
And a lot of lightheadedness, a lot of dizziness. Moving the body is a chore. Breathing's a chore.
Without treatment, doctors say they don't know how much longer Katie has.
To be able to be back, to be that active parent, and to be able to live fully. I want that. I want to be able to be happy and to be there for my kids. And without treatment, time will only tell.
Eating disorders are serious health conditions that can be both physically and emotionally destructive. People with eating disorders need to seek professional help. Just by physical appearance alone, you can't tell if someone has an eating disorder. What you have to look at is their behavior with food. So everyone who fluctuates in size doesn't mean they have bulimia nervosa. This life-threatening eating disorder is characterized by frequent episodes of consuming very large amounts of food, followed by self-induced vomiting, overdosing on laxatives, or excessive exercising to undo the effects of eating.
Basically getting grease and heating it up to the point of almost boiling, and then just taking a spoonful of it and just being like that.
Julia Osborne, like many others with an eating disorder, sometimes inflict physical pain on her own body.
It would hurt initially, and then immediately I'd feel a lot better. And I was just like, it doesn't hurt anymore, I just feel calm.
Julia's all-consuming fears of becoming overweight began her senior year in high school. She excessively scrutinized her image in the mirror. She just wanted to be thin. Julia's food restriction evolved into the eating disorder anorexia nervosa.
I was hoping at some point that I would get where my stomach was inwards almost. And every time that I would look in the mirror, I was like, ugh, didn't like the way I looked or felt, and just really was not happy with the person that I was in general.
It wasn't until she moved overseas for college that the pain became so deep that she transferred disorders, becoming bulimic.
I just ended up gaining quite a bit of weight because I basically went from being underweight to overweight in about 3 months. And my bulimia got quite bad because I was like, why isn't this working? I can't seem to lose the weight.
The self-loathing continued and episodes of binge eating developed.
I would look in the mirror and be like, just everything, just so gross. I have to get rid of this. I was like, if I gain weight, I'm gonna gain a lot of weight. This is how it starts.
And so after the binging came the purging.
When I would make myself throw up, I would just, it was a relief, but almost I felt happier afterwards. And it wasn't quite like the actual act of it, not very pleasant. Every time I ate something, I would make myself throw up.
And when the purging wasn't enough, Julia found relief in causing her body physical pain.
I started to get into self-harm stuff. I had to go to the hospital once because I had burnt myself really badly.
Her parents stepped in, trying to save their daughter from this debilitating mental illness.
My recovery was the support from my parents, and I say we argued quite a bit initially, which was why we ended up going to Sherry Glazier.
Family therapist Sherry Glazier acted as a translator between Julia and her parents.
Everybody's needs are different, and everybody comes into treatment, or their history with the eating disorder varies from individual to individual. While you have an eating disorder, you don't really have a life. You have an eating disorder.
And doing family therapy, and that was amazing.
Without the family's involvement, the individual can't recover in a vacuum. So while families don't cause the eating disorder, they certainly contribute to it, but they are part of the solution.
Glazier says eating disorders are a symptom of what else is going on in the individual and family. And early intervention matters. Family involvement in meaningful therapy is a key part of the recovery process.
I didn't want to hurt myself any more than I already had.
Julia found a way to let food stay in her body while learning what fullness felt like. After eating a meal, she kept her hands busy with crafts so she didn't feel the need to purge.
It kind of made me think of a strawberry. Sometimes when I was upset, I would do like 10. It's just nice because it's distracting. It was really nice to be able to be like, okay, I'm gonna get this, and I'm gonna do this, and this is cute.
We ask them to give up their best friend and their worst enemy, which is the eating disorder. They're going to experience things that they haven't experienced before, and it is very frightening.
Julia has been recovered from her eating disorders now for 2 years.
That my parents were really what made the difference. I know I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. I feel more confident. I'm happier, just usually more relaxed.
Recovery is the full restoration of physical, nutritional, psychological, and emotional health. A secret more than an estimated 2.8 million people suffer from is binge eating disorder. It's the most common eating disorder where people gorge on large amounts of food in a short period of time, but don't undo the binge. For decades, binge eating disorder wasn't considered a significant mental illness like anorexia or bulimia nervosa.
It's almost like an out-of-body experience. It's an obsession. I would walk into someplace and scope it out, see exactly what I thought I could get away with taking.
During Dan's binge eating episodes, he feels out of control, almost robotic, where his brain short circuits and he automatically stuffs himself with food.
If I could find cookies someplace, I would fill my pockets. And a lot of times, once I had scored, I would disappear. I would take off so that I could consume what I had found.
It all started when he was a preteen.
I think the first trigger was that I was sexually abused when I was very young. And by the time I was 6, I was inflicting pain in a number of different ways, especially dipping my hands in scalding hot water.
By the time he was 9 years old, he transferred from inflicting physical pain to restricting and binging on food.
I would not eat at all day long. And then by the time I got home from school, I would eat everything in sight.
Meanwhile, the real trouble started when Dan graduated from high school. He couldn't stop eating once a binge eating episode has begun.
My mind races, my body gets very tense. It's almost like becoming an automaton. My mind goes from racing to almost blank. because it becomes automatic that I'm eating.
As a teen, he suffered from depression, anxiety, OCD, and ADD. When Dan's eating disorder comes over him, he feels possessed, and he'd cruise through fast food drive-thrus, consuming thousands of calories.
I would usually start with 6 tacos and a drink. I'd get a large drink at my first stop. And then it was usually 3 or 4 burgers with fries. And then I could easily go for another 6 tacos again. And then go off to some far off spot in a parking lot where I could consume all of it.
In that 1 year, he gained more than 100 pounds.
I don't know how I physically was able to hold that much food, but I did.
Unlike people with other eating disorders, Dan didn't try to undo his excessive eating with extreme actions.
Regardless of how I felt, because I was eating far beyond feeling full. You know, I was using the food to fill me up, but there was never an end to the emptiness.
His emptiness also stemmed from rejecting and suppressing his feelings of being gay. Dan's binges were a daily occurrence, sometimes multiple times a day. Yet now he binges about twice a week.
Something sweet, and then I need something salty, and then I'll go back to sweet, and then I go to salty.
At 52 years old, doctors say he has a body of an 80-year-old man. Dan suffers from type 2 diabetes, arthritis, back and neck pain.
High blood sugar. I've spent my whole life with it. I don't know that I would understand what true recovery meant. I would love to lose the weight. I would love not to be controlled by binge eating.
He used to tip the scales at 409 pounds. Dan has been in treatment for the last 6 years. He's hopeful but realistic about living with his binge eating disorder.
I don't think I will ever be fully recovered from this.
Recovery entails learning to trust, accept, and love yourself while listening to your body. Everybody's treatment is different because every body is different. Morgan Horn is one of many success stories where her eating disorder doesn't control her anymore. What Morgan Horn saw in the mirror in 2012 was a high school junior who was worthless.
Disgusting. Gross. If I even woke up and ate the slightest amount of food, it could be even just like an apple, I'd start freaking out. I'd be like, I hate life.
She saw herself as obese, so she had an intense fear of weight gain. In her mind, she felt defective, and the cure to her problem was to become thin.
If I went a whole day without eating, I was super happy. Super happy. Like it just like fed into everything. I was like, oh my God, life is great. Life is great.
Morgan equated thinness with success, beauty, and acceptance. In reality, she suffered from the eating disorder anorexia nervosa. Starving herself was a way she felt in control. She was trying to have the perfect body.
For about a month, I went the entire month with only eating an apple a day. Eventually, my whole plan was to just stop eating altogether.
Her body was literally starved. She barely slept, and blocking her feelings and emotions became her way of life. She started running as a way to manage all of it.
1 mile turned into like 2 and 3, and eventually running like up to 18 miles.
Morgan, what are you doing? You are killing yourself. You can't be doing this.
When he said that, like I started crying and just getting so emotional about it, but at the same time, I was like, why is he lying to me? I'm not killing myself. I'm doing myself a favor.
Morgan's father, Jeff Horn, was watching his daughter wilt away, become distant, depleted, and fragile.
I didn't want to see anything bad happen to her. I didn't want to see her die. I didn't want to lose her.
I honestly thought his goal was to make me fat. I felt that way about my doctors and anybody who tried to help me. I was like, you're just trying to make me fat.
Morgan had become so thin. Her doctors were worried, and then her heart and organs started failing. All the while, Morgan saw herself as overweight. Jeff took her to the eating disorder treatment program at Mercy Hospital.
Oh, she was definitely going to die if she kept going the way she was.
Sorry.
It's not uncommon for one or both parents to be confused about this illness.
I feel like my mom was I don't know if I'd want to say denial or if it was like she just didn't want me to go, because she was all on my side with me agreeing like, oh, I can do this on my own. I don't need to go anywhere.
Morgan's first steps centered around learning to accept herself and how food makes her feel.
As soon as I knew I ate something, like I'd start even having suicidal thoughts like, why did I do that? I don't deserve that.
Or deserve to live, eat, or take up space. Recovery was a treacherous climb for Morgan.
Terrible. Not knowing whether my daughter was going to live or die. Whether she was going to make it a day, a week, a month. Just not knowing.
The battle went on for months and then years. But through the treatments and setbacks, Morgan gained the tenacity and strength to beat this eating disorder.
Thin isn't what I'm here to do. Like, I'm not here to try to make myself super skinny. I'm not here to try to starve myself. I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm here to pursue a career that I'm going to school for. I'm here to help others.
Recovery forced her to look deep within herself and realize who she is, what she wants out of life, and be able to communicate these desires.
What makes a woman beautiful is to be confident, to be able to accept her flaws, just being different from everyone else.
Reclaiming a healthy self-image wouldn't have been possible without the unconditional support from her father.
Just to tell him how much I really do love him, and I really am happy that he was there to help me. And
I love you too. That I love her. I'll do anything for her.
It's gonna be alright. Morgan now loves and accepts the quirks that make her unique.
I could say that I'm recovered from an eating disorder.
If you or someone you know is suffering from an eating disorder, say something. There's more to life than suffering. It's time to celebrate everybody.